Imagine this. The long night was over. The dead had been defeated. The survivors of Winterfell, battered and grieving, tried to find meaning in whatever scraps of life remained. Arya Stark, quiet as ever, had begun spending more time in the Godswood. Gendry had been named Lord of Storm's End, but he remained in the north for her, not for a crown, not for power. Just for her. But Jon Snow, he wasn't the same man who bent the knee. After Daenerys' growing darkness, after watching thousands die beneath dragonfire, his heart had hardened. Not cold, just broken. He had begun to see everything differently, who deserved power, who deserved love, and who deserved punishment. So, when he stumbled upon Arya and Gendry, alone kissing beneath the weirwood tree in the Godswood, something inside him cracked. At first he stood frozen, shadowed by snow-dusted branches, unseen. Gendry's hands were around Arya's waist, her head tilted up, her guard down. Arya Stark, the girl who never let anyone in, was smiling. And not just any smile, the kind Jon had never seen on her face before, the kind that meant vulnerability, the kind that meant trust. And Jon's stomach twisted. It wasn't just protective instinct, it wasn't just a brother fearing his sister might get hurt. No, it was darker than that. It was betrayal. It was the quiet realization that while he bore the weight of leadership, of secrets, of Targaryen blood and dragons and shattered kingdoms, others like Gendry got to just live, to be free, to love. And that love was Arya. He left the Godswood before they saw him, didn't say a word that night, but he didn't sleep, didn't eat. His thoughts ran wild and dark. Why Gendry? A Baratheon, a bastard once like him, but now a lord, lifted by Daenerys' mercy, not his own merit. The same Daenerys Jon feared was slipping into madness, and now he was in the north trying to claim Arya's heart, and maybe more. Jon couldn't explain it, couldn't even understand it, but it festered. 2 days later, he found Gendry in the courtyard, alone, oiling his sword near the stables. Arya was off training with the archers. Snow drifted gently from the sky. Silence surrounded them, thick, tense. "You staying long?" Jon asked, his voice low. Gendry glanced up, smiling at first, oblivious. "As long as she'll have me." That was the wrong answer. "You forget you're a guest in the north," Jon said, stepping closer. "And Arya doesn't need anyone." Gendry's smile faded. "Neither do you, but it doesn't mean we're meant to be alone." The words hit like steel. Jon didn't reply. He just looked at Gendry, jaw clenched, thoughts spiraling. "You think she's not strong enough to choose?" Gendry asked, standing now, blade still in hand, but not raised. "She's my sister." "She's not your sister," Gendry said softly. "You know that." And that was the final cut. Because Jon did know. He was no Stark by blood. He was a Targaryen, Aegon, heir to the Iron Throne. Arya was his cousin, not his sister. But she'd always treated him as one, loved him like one. She had trusted him when even Sansa questioned him. And now she trusted Gendry. Rage flared in his chest, like dragon fire. Unspoken pain, suppressed identity, grief over Daenerys, fear. Of his own bloodline, loss after loss after loss, it all coiled into a single lethal instinct. Without warning, Jon drew Longclaw. Gendry's eyes widened. "Jon—" The blade cut through the snow-soaked air. The clang of steel rang out as Gendry parried just in time, stumbling backward. "What are you doing?" But Jon said nothing. He struck again, and again. No battle cries, no accusations, just fury. Gendry tried not to fight back. "I don't want this, Jon." "You already took what wasn't yours," Jon shouted, voice hoarse. Steel met steel, sparks flew, footsteps in snow, grunts, swings, desperation. It wasn't a duel. It was a punishment. And then Jon's blade found flesh. Gendry gasped, eyes wide in shock. Blood seeped from the wound in his side. He dropped to one knee, sword clattering in the snow. Jon stood over him, chest heaving, blade shaking, eyes filled not with victory, but with horror. He hadn't meant to go that far. Or had he? Gendry looked up, coughing. Arya will never forgive you. Those words landed harder than any blade. Jon turned, walking away, blood on the snow, guilt in his soul. Arya found Gendry barely alive. His wound was deep, but not fatal. He wouldn't speak. Jon's name wouldn't say what happened. But Arya knew. She didn't confront Jon that night, didn't say a word. Just stood outside his chambers in silence before walking away. But from that day, something broke between them. Jon could feel it. The North had survived the dead, the dragons, the wars. But could it survive the wrath of a Stark? Okay, pause. What the hell just happened? Did Jon Snow, our Jon, really just try to kill Gendry over Arya? Like what? Is this the same man who forgave Theon Greyjoy? Who took a knife to the heart for the realm? But if you think this is... well, oh, it's about to get way darker. Because what happens next? It doesn't just break Arya, it might destroy House Stark from within. 3 days passed. Winterfell was colder than usual. Not just because of the frost creeping down from the mountains, but because the warmth between Jon and Arya had vanished completely. She didn't speak to him. She didn't even look at him, and when he walked into a room, she walked out. Jon told himself it was for the best, that Arya would move on, that Gendry would heal, that things would go back to normal. But nothing about it was normal, because Arya wasn't grieving like a woman mourning lost love. She was sharpening her blade. Not needle, the small, elegant sword that reminded her of childhood. No, she sharpened the knife strapped to her boot, the one she'd used in the wars, the one that tasted blood. She hadn't asked Gendry for the truth. She didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than words. His wound, clean, purposeful, not something from bandits or drunken mistakes. No, it had been delivered by someone skilled, someone precise, someone like Jon. And now she couldn't stop replaying the question in her head. Why? Why would Jon attack Gendry? What had driven him to do it? Gendry, for all his strength, hadn't wanted revenge. He said Jon looked lost, as if something inside him had snapped. But Arya wasn't interested in forgiveness. She wanted answers. And Winterfell's quiet halls wouldn't give them to her. So one night, as a blizzard howled outside, and the flames in the great hall cast long shadows, Arya finally confronted him. He was alone by the hearth, cloaked in furs, sipping wine he clearly didn't enjoy. His eyes were tired, distant, haunted. She didn't knock. She didn't wait. You tried to kill him. Jon didn't look at her. He's alive. That's not a denial. Silence. Arya stepped closer. Why, Jon? He didn't answer. You think I'm too weak to choose who I love? Jon flinched. It's not that. Then what? Her voice cut through the air like ice. You saw us, didn't you? In the Godswood? He nodded slowly. And that was enough to try and take his life. It wasn't about that, Jon muttered. It was everything. No, she said sharply. It was about me. You wanted to punish me, not him. Jon stood, finally facing her. His face was pale, his eyes bloodshot. You think I wanted this? You think I planned it? I think you snapped, and that makes you dangerous. Jon took a step forward. I've fought White Walkers, dragons, traitors. I've died for this realm. And yet, it's this that makes me dangerous? Arya didn't flinch. You let your jealousy drown your judgment. It wasn't jealousy, he growled. It was betrayal. Arya tilted her head. Whose betrayal? Mine or yours? And there it was. The truth she had begun to suspect. Jon didn't speak. Arya stepped even closer now, the flames catching her eyes like embers. You ever wonder why you've always protected me more than the others? Why I was the one you hugged hardest when you left for the wall? Why you couldn't let Gendry near me? Jon's jaw tightened. Don't. Why not? Afraid of the answer? I'm not a Stark, he whispered, voice cracking. You know that. I do. And that makes this wrong, he added, pain in every syllable. All of it. But you felt it, she said softly. Didn't you? His silence screamed. The truth. Arya's heart thundered. She had felt something too, long buried beneath duty and blood and survival. But she had never wanted it, had never let it bloom, and now it was a poison in both of them. Gendry deserved none of this, she said. And neither did I. Jon turned away. I know. So what do we do now? He stared into the fire. We survive, like always. But Arya wasn't satisfied. What about Gendry? He's free to leave. He will leave, she said coldly. And he'll never return. Because of you. A bitter wind swept through the cracked stone of the tower. Neither spoke for a while, and then Jon said the one thing she didn't expect. I'll abdicate. Arya blinked. What? I'll leave Winterfell. I'll go back to the Wall, if there's still a Night's Watch. Or east, maybe. Anywhere but here. That's not what I wanted. But it's what's right. Arya clenched her fists. You think running away fixes this? No, but staying only breaks more. Before she could answer, a knock echoed at the chamber door. A raven had arrived, from King's Landing, Sansa. She had summoned Jon to the capital. Urgently, and... It wasn't a request. Okay. What is happening? We just watched Jon Snow, the brooding, noble, ever-honourable bastard of Winterfell, spiral into rage and nearly kill Gendry over Arya Stark. And now he's stepping down, running away, trying to erase himself from her life. But wait. This letter from King's Landing. This is where things explode because Sansa Stark isn't just calling him back for diplomacy. The snow hadn't stopped falling, and the castle looked half buried in white. But the letter burned like wildfire in Jon's hands. Sansa's handwriting, sharp, cold, unforgiving. Come to King's Landing, now. It concerns Arya, and the succession. That was all it said. No seal, no explanation. Just that. Jon had read it 3 times before Arya appeared behind him in the corridor. He didn't need to hide the letter. She read it over his shoulder in silence. Her face didn't move. But her eyes, they shifted, darkened. Sansa knows, she said flatly. Jon turned. Knows what? I don't know, Arya admitted. But if she's summoning you, not me, it's bad. They stood there, 2 siblings. No, cousins. 2 ghosts of war and trauma and blood, staring at each other like strangers. The air between them was colder than the wind outside. I leave at first light, Jon said. I'm coming with you, Arya replied. He nodded. Neither of them brought it up again. Not Gendry, not the godswood, not the knife. But everything, hung in the silence between them. By nightfall the castle was buzzing with tension. Jon gave command to Ser Davos and left Winterfell quietly. Arya rode beside him. They didn't speak the entire journey. It took 3 days to reach the Red Keep. 3 days of silence, tension, and the growing dread of what Sansa might have uncovered. And when they arrived, it wasn't Sansa who greeted them. It was Tyrion. He waited at the city gates, flanked by guards, cloak fluttering like a shadow in the wind. You're late, he said to Jon, offering no smile. Jon dismounted. Where's Sansa? She's waiting, and she's angry, Arya frowned. Why? Tyrion gave her a glance, cold, measured. She's learned things she didn't want to know. They followed him in silence, weaving through the courtyards of King's Landing, past small folk and whispers, past guards who watched them a little too closely. Arya noticed it. So did Jon. Something was wrong. Tyrion led them into the Tower of the Hand, not the royal chambers, not the war room. A place private, a place safe, or secret. Sansa stood inside, her hands on the table, eyes sharp as blades. She didn't greet them, just said, "Close the door." Jon did. Sansa looked at Arya first. "Did you know?" Arya didn't blink. "No." "What?" Sansa turned her gaze to Jon. "He attacked Gendry." Tyrion looked away. "So did the guards." Arya said nothing. Sansa's voice dropped. "Not in battle, not in politics, not in war. He attacked Gendry out of jealousy, out of possession." Jon's face hardened. "You weren't there." "I didn't need to be," Sansa snapped. "I spoke with Gendry. He wrote to me, told me everything." Arya's voice was low now. "He promised me he wouldn't." "He's loyal to you," Sansa said. "That's why he sent you the Raven first." "But I'm Queen of the North, Arya. I don't get to ignore violence in my own house." Jon stepped forward. I already planned to leave, to step down. Not enough, Sansa said coldly. You're still a threat. To who? Jon demanded. To her, she pointed at Arya. To the realm, to yourself. Tyrion finally spoke. She's not wrong, Jon turned. You think I've lost control? I think you lost something more dangerous, Tyrion said softly. Your sense of purpose. Arya looked at Jon now. Her voice was barely a whisper. You told me you'd walk away. Why didn't you? I was going to, Jon said. But you followed. You came with me. I thought maybe, he trailed off. Sansa's eyes narrowed. You thought what? That she'd change her mind? That she'd love you back? The room dropped into a thick silence. Arya looked away. Jon said, Nothing. Sansa stepped forward, voice slicing through the tension. I need to know you won't do it again. I won't, Jon said. I can't just take your word, she replied. Arya suddenly broke the silence. He's not the threat, I am. Sansa turned. What? If you exile him, I follow, Arya said. If you strip him of name or title, I go too. He's not a monster. Sansa blinked. He tried to kill your lover. And I've killed. Men for less, Arya said coldly. But Jon has lost everything. This wasn't about me. It was about control, about pain. And you don't fix pain by punishing it. Jon turned to her, stunned. She looked at him. You're not okay, but you're not evil. For the first time in days, his eyes softened. Sansa shook her head. Then what do I do? Send us away, Arya said, together. Let the North heal. Let Winterfell belong to those who still know what peace feels like. Tyrion looked between them, surprised. Jon opened his mouth, then closed it. Sansa exhaled. You'd give up everything? I never wanted anything, Jon muttered. Arya looked at him. Except her. Another silence. Sansa finally spoke. I'll tell the council you've both chosen exile, that you left willingly, that the matter is resolved. Jon nodded. Arya nodded. Tyrion raised a brow. Where will you go? Arya's answer was simple. West. Wait. Jon and Arya. Exiled? Together? What just happened? Sansa playing judge. Arya defending the man who tried to kill her lover, and Jon admitting feelings we never thought he'd speak out loud. And now, they're leaving Westeros. The ship that carried them had no banners, no name carved into its hull, no crew loyal to any house. Just two sails, a captain who asked no questions, and the cold western winds pushing them toward waters no one dared chart. Arya stood at the bow, eyes locked on the endless grey-blue horizon. Jon kept to the shadows of the deck, quiet like a ghost hiding from the sun. Neither of them spoke about the past. Not Winterfell, not Gendry, not Sansa, not what was confessed or what wasn't. But the silence wasn't peace. It was a storm, waiting to break. By the seventh day at sea, the waters grew darker. The stars began to shift and unfamiliar, almost wrong. The crew whispered about old myths, of lands where time bent and seas swallowed entire kingdoms. Arya didn't flinch. Jon didn't blink. They weren't running from the world. They were running from themselves. On the 10th night, a storm struck, furious and sudden. The ship groaned, the waves clawed like dragons from the deep. Arya tied herself to the mast. Jon helped the crew bail water until his hands bled. For hours, nature roared around them, until, just before dawn, it stopped. Everything stopped. The sea turned still as glass, the sky a colorless void, and in the distance, land, uncharted, untouched. They had reached the edge of the known world. The crew refused to go ashore. Superstition, fear, whispers of cursed isles. So Arya and Jon rowed alone, their small boat slicing through waters that hadn't seen a human shadow in 1,000 years. The shore was black stone, the sky above it thick with low-hanging clouds, and the silence, unnatural. No birds, no wind, no life. Arya stepped off first. Jon followed. It felt like stepping into a grave. For hours they explored ruins, massive, ancient, twisted structures half sunk into the earth. Symbols neither of them recognized etched into pillars and gates. Arya found broken blades longer than horses. Jon found bones, human but not quite. "Is this Valyria?" Arya asked once. "No," Jon replied. "Older." Then they found it, a tower standing tall against the sky, untouched by decay. A door opened without resistance. Inside, fire still burned, as if it had been waiting. At the center of the chamber was a mirror, oval, smooth, floating above the ground. No dust, no cracks, just reflection. But it didn't show them. It showed choices. Jon saw Winterfell, burning. Arya bloodied, broken in the snow. Arya saw King's Landing, a throne of knives, and Jon kneeling before her. Weeping, they backed away, but the mirror didn't stop. It whispered in silence, pulling memories like threads. And then it spoke. Not in words, not out loud, but in truths. Jon staggered. He saw Daenerys, her ashes, his blade. He saw Gendry, choking on his own blood. He saw Arya, alone. Always. Alone, a knife in one hand and a mask in the other. And he saw himself, not Jon Snow, not Aegon Targaryen, but something else, something older. "Get out," Arya whispered. "We shouldn't be here." But Jon couldn't move, the mirror had him, and in its surface, and one final image, Jon sitting the Iron Throne, Arya chained at his feet. "No," he gasped, "that's not me." But a voice, not from the mirror, but from behind them, answered, "It could be." They spun. A figure stood in the doorway, a woman cloaked in silver robes, eyes glowing faintly violet, hair pale as snow, yet her skin bore the color of ash, not Targaryen, not Valyrian, something beyond. "Who are you?" Arya demanded, drawing her blade. The woman tilted her head. "I am memory, I am echo, I am the watcher of what could be." Jon stepped forward. "This place, it shows visions?" "Possibilities," the woman said. "Forks in the road, paths untaken, shadows of what you truly are." Arya narrowed her eyes. "Then why show us this?" The woman looked at Jon. "Because the blood in your veins has not finished claiming what it's owed." He felt cold. "I left it behind." "Blood," she said, "does not let go. It waits." Arya stepped in front of Jon. "We came here to escape that." "You came here to face it," the woman replied. "And now the realm trembles again." Jon clenched his fists. "The realm is safe. We left it in peace." The woman smiled, not kindly. "Then why does Sansa prepare for war?" Jon's heart stopped. Arya's blade lowered. "What war?" The woman pointed at the mirror. It shimmered. Images flashed, faster than thought. Sansa in black, a crown of thorns, Gendry marching. South with a Baratheon banner, Tyrion kneeling before a foreign army, Winterfell gates burning, the small folk rising, a shadow rising in the east. Wearing Arya's face, Jon staggered back. "No, that's not real." The woman's voice was quiet. "Not yet." Arya stepped toward the mirror, staring at the reflection of herself. Cold, heartless, cloaked in blood. "Is this what I become?" The woman said nothing, because the truth wasn't prophecy, it was possibility. And what they saw wasn't a warning, it was a choice. "Okay, wait. What is this place?" Jon and Arya find an ancient ruin, a mirror that shows dark futures, and a literal oracle whispering that their bloodlines are not done with Westeros, and Sansa, planning for war. Plus, a future where Arya becomes the villain. No way this ends quietly. No way they just walk away. Jon sat at the edge of the black shore, watching the tide roll in like smoke. The ruined mirror tower loomed behind him, quiet now. Its whispers were gone, but their echoes stayed in his bones. Arya hadn't spoken since they left the tower. She hadn't looked at him. She just stood alone beneath a broken stone arch, arms crossed, gaze fixed on the stormy horizon. But Jon could feel the tension radiating off her, tighter than any bowstring. Something inside her had shifted, hardened. He finally broke the silence. "We should go back." Arya didn't turn. "Why?" "You saw what I saw. If Sansa's raising an army..." "We don't know that," Arya cut in. "We do," he replied. "The mirror showed it." Arya turned now, slow and deliberate. The mirror showed possibilities, not truths. Jon stood. "You'd risk it." She walked toward him. "You saw yourself on the throne, remember? Does that make it real?" Jon flinched. "Exactly," she said. "These weren't visions. They were temptations. That place tried to break us." He stepped. "Closer. Or it warned us." "No," she said. "It dared us." Jon's voice dropped. "And what if it was right?" Arya's jaw clenched. "About what?" "That I haven't changed," he said bitterly. "That I'm still just a man, waiting for power to twist me." "You're not that man," Arya snapped. "You've never been. I stabbed my queen. I nearly killed Gendry. He stopped, breathing hard. Arya's eyes narrowed. "You didn't kill me, Jon." "I wanted to," he said. Voice cracked. Silence. Arya looked at him, eyes unreadable. "But you didn't." He looked away. "Because I still have enough of the old me left to hate what I've become." Arya sighed, softer now. "We all have ghosts." He shook his head. "No, you fought yours. You survived them. I just keep becoming them." She stepped beside him. "So what now?" "We go back," Jon said. "We find out what Sansa's doing. We stop it before it starts." Arya hesitated. "You think she's really planning war?" "She always plans. War," he said with a grim smile. "Even in peace." Arya was quiet, and then, "What if the war isn't with her?" Jon frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned to him, deadly serious. "What if it's with me?" He blinked. "You saw the same vision." Arya nodded. "I was wearing faces again, killing without purpose, leading people I didn't care about." Jon said nothing. "I thought I buried that part of me," she whispered. "The killer, the faceless thing, but it's not gone." Jon looked at her. "It doesn't control you." "No," she said. "Not yet." They stood together in silence as the sea growled below. And then, a horn. Far out, on the horizon, a ship's sail appeared, but not the one that brought them here. A different one. Black as pitch, red symbol painted across it. A stag wrapped in wildfire. Arya's eyes widened. Baratheon. Jon's heart stopped. Gendry. And it wasn't alone. 2 more ships followed. Soldiers aboard. Steel. Armor. Northern banners. Arya grabbed her blade. "They followed us." "No," Jon whispered. "They hunted us." They scrambled down the rocks, rushing to their small longboat. Waves slapped the hull as they climbed in and began rowing with frantic speed. The enemy ships weren't far, but the coastline was jagged and dangerous. The larger ships wouldn't risk getting too close. Jon and Arya reached their main vessel as the crew panicked. They weren't fighters. They weren't ready for war. But Arya was. She climbed aboard, eyes scanning the enemy sails. "This isn't a raid," she muttered. "This is retrieval." Jon looked through the spyglass. "Sansa sent them." Arya nodded. "And Gendry came willingly." Jon handed the glass to her. "He's not wearing armor." She looked. He wasn't. But his face, there was no rage. No fury, just pain, regret. Arya's heart cracked. "He's not here to fight." Jon stepped beside her. "Then why come at all?" She exhaled. "To bring us back, or stop us from exposing something." The ships closed in, forming a blockade. No cannon fire, no signals, just tension. And then a single boat left Gendry's ship heading toward them. Jon looked at Arya. "Let me go." "No." He looked at her. "If this is about me—" "It's not," she said sharply. "It's about us." The boat reached the side. Gendry climbed aboard. His eyes met Arya's first, then Jon's. He raised both hands. No weapons, no threats. "Came to talk." Jon didn't draw his sword. Arya didn't blink. Gendry spoke carefully. "Sansa told the council you were dead. Both of you." Jon tensed. "Why?" "She said you vanished. Said you'd stolen ancient knowledge from an abandoned city. That you were planning to return with power, enough to claim the throne." Arya cursed under her breath. Gendry continued. The lords are scared. They think you've gone mad, that Jon's following the same path as Daenerys." Jon's face turned to stone. "She sent soldiers to kill you if you resisted," Arya growled. "And you came anyway?" "I told her I had to be the one to find you," Gendry said, "to make sure it didn't come to blood." Arya stared at him. "Even after what he did to you?" Gendry didn't look away. "I never blamed him," Jon finally spoke. "Then blame me now, because if I go back, I won't kneel to Sansa." Gendry exhaled. "She doesn't want your kneel. She wants your head." Silence. Arya's eyes burned. "Then let her come for it." "Okay, stop. What is this? Sansa told the realm Jon and Arya were dead, and now she's branding them traitors with ancient magic plots?" Meanwhile, Gendry, the one man with loyalty to both sides, just walked into a bloodbath. Jon stared at the deck planks beneath his boots, rain beginning to fall in soft sheets. Gendry stood just feet from him, silent. The waves rocked their ship gently, like a slow breath before a scream. Arya didn't wait. She turned to the captain. "Ready the ship. We set course now." Jon looked up. "To where?" Arya's voice was flat. "Back." Gendry stepped forward. "You won't make it through the blockade." "We will," she said. "And if we don't, we'll burn through it." Gendry's face tightened. "Arya, I didn't come here for blood." "Then you came to the wrong ship," she snapped, but Jon raised his hand. "No," he said quietly. "No more running." Arya frowned. "You said we had to go back." "I meant it," Jon said, "but not like this. Not charging in with steel and fire. That's what she expects." Gendry spoke carefully. "She's preparing her own coronation. As Queen of the North and Protector of the Realm, she's uniting the lords without you." Jon's voice was dry. "I gave her the North." "You never gave her the realm," Gendry said. "And she never asked," Arya muttered. Gendry looked at both of them. "If you want peace, there's one way left." Jon's eyes narrowed. "I don't trust Sansa." "I don't ask you to," Gendry replied, "but the lords do. If she sees you, really sees you, not as a threat, but as broken, humbled, she might back down." Arya's blade was already in her hand. "Humbled?" she echoed. "She wants him dead." "She wants control," Jon corrected. "And fear is control." Gendry nodded. "Then take the fear from her." Arya stepped between them, soaked by the rain now. "I don't care what plans you make. If she raises a sword against him again, I end it." Gendry met her gaze. "Then it ends in war. That's not what he wants." She looked at Jon. "What do you want?" Jon looked past her, past the waves, toward the invisible shore of Westeros. "I want truth. If they'll kill us for it, so be it." The return to Bai. Westeros was slow, deliberate. Their sails stayed low, their flags blank. No fire, no challenge, no drama. Just two people and the weight of the world. They landed not in the north, but in the Riverlands. A small keep, loyal to no one. Arya rode ahead to secure horses. Jon stayed behind with Gendry, under the cover of darkness. Arya hadn't said much since they'd made landfall. She didn't need to. The knife she now kept closer than ever said everything. By the third day, they reached the outer forests of Winterfell, and it wasn't the same. The walls were thicker. The gates guarded day and night. A black banner now flew beside the Stark sigil, not of House Baratheon, but of the realm united, Sansa's creation. A silent message. She wasn't just the queen in the north anymore. She was something else entirely. The three of them approached slowly. Gendry was waved through. Arya and Jon were stopped. A guard stared at Jon, confused. "You're supposed to be dead." Jon didn't blink. "I get that a lot." They were taken to the Great Hall in chains, not as guests, as prisoners. And there she was. Sansa Stark, dressed in black and silver, a crown of midnight thorns around her head. Her face pale, her eyes sharp, unforgiving. Tyrion stood beside her, older now, worn, but watching. The hall was full. Lords of the Vale, Riverlands, North. Even some from the Stormlands. Sansa raised her voice. "Before us stand two ghosts. One, a former king who bent the knee to a dragon and spilled blood in its name. The other, a faceless killer who abandoned her house and now returns with the same man who betrayed us all." Arya stepped forward. Cut the poetry. Why return? Now, Sansa asked. To finish what Daenerys started. Jon met her gaze. I came to tell the truth. Which is, that I am not your enemy. Sansa stepped down from the dais. You disappeared for months. The realm heard whispers of you crossing the sea, finding ancient power, seeking the throne. Lies, Jon said. Are they? She asked, coldly. Then what did you find? Jon paused. Arya looked at him. He gave a single nod. We found a mirror, he said. An artifact older than Valyria. It showed us futures, possibilities, ones where I ruled, where she slaughtered, where you burned, the hall murmured. Sansa's eyes narrowed. You expect us to believe magic told you to return? No, Jon said. I came because you're about to start a war over a lie. Sansa's voice dropped to a hiss. I told the lords what I had to. You told them we were dead. To protect the realm, she snapped. The moment word spreads that Aegon Targaryen is alive, every vulture comes circling. You know it. You lived it. Arya's voice was ice. So you decided to kill the truth before it could rise. I preserved peace, Sansa said. You're the one who drew a sword on your own blood. Jon's voice rose. And you're the one who's become everything we fought to destroy. The hall went silent. Sansa stepped back, and Tyrion finally spoke. Then let us see what the realm believes. He stepped forward, unrolling a parchment. A challenge has been made, Tyrion said. Jon Snow has been accused of treason. Arya, Stark of conspiracy. But in Westeros, accusations can be answered by one thing. Arya's hand went to her blade. A trial by combat, Tyrion said. The room shifted. Tension grew. Jon stared at Sansa. You'd settle this with blood? She didn't blink. It's cleaner than politics. And from behind the throne, a figure stepped forward. Massive, armored, gauntlet wrapped around a double-bladed axe. Arya's heart stopped. Sandor Clegane, the Hound, alive. He stepped beside Sansa, expression unreadable. I choose my champion, she said. Jon turned to Arya, but she stepped forward, voice like a dagger. No, I'll fight him. Oh my God, Sansa declares Jon and Arya traitors. Jon exposes visions of futures that terrify everyone, and now a trial by combat is the only way to settle this. And Sansa chose the Hound. Arya's going to face him again after everything they went through. The snow hadn't stopped falling, and the castle looked half buried in white. But the letter burned like wildfire in Jon's hands. Sansa's handwriting, sharp, cold, unforgiving. Come to King's Landing, now. It concerns Arya and the succession. S. That was all it said. No seal, no explanation. Just that. Jon had read it 3 times before Arya appeared behind him in the corridor. He didn't need to hide the letter. She read it over his shoulder in silence. Her face didn't move. But her eyes, they shifted, darkened. Sansa knows, she said flatly. Jon turned. Knows what? I don't know, Arya admitted. But if she's summoning you, not me, it's bad. They stood there, 2 siblings. No, cousins. 2 ghosts of war and trauma and blood, staring at each other like strangers. The air between them was colder than the wind outside. I leave at first light, Jon said. I'm coming with you, Arya replied. He nodded. Neither of them brought it up again. Not Gendry, not the godswood, not the knife. But everything hung in the silence between them. By nightfall, the castle was buzzing with tension. Jon gave command to Ser Davos and left Winterfell quietly. Arya rode beside him. They didn't speak the entire journey. It took 3 days to reach the Red Keep. 3 days of silence, tension, and the growing dread of what Sansa might have uncovered. And when they arrived, it wasn't Sansa who greeted them. It was Tyrion. He waited at the city gates, flanked by guards, cloak fluttering like a shadow in the wind. You're late, he said to Jon, offering no smile. Jon dismounted. Where's Sansa? She's waiting, and she's angry. Arya frowned. Why? Tyrion gave her a glance, cold, measured. She's learned things she didn't want to know. They followed him in silence, weaving through the courtyards of King's Landing, past small folk and whispers, past guards who watched them a little too closely. Arya noticed it. So did Jon. Something was wrong. Tyrion led them into the Tower of the Hand, not the royal chambers, not the war room. A place private, a place safe, or secret. Sansa stood inside, her hands on the table, eyes sharp as blades. She didn't greet them, just said, "Close the door." Jon did. Sansa looked at Arya first. "Did you know?" Arya didn't blink. "No." "What?" Sansa turned her gaze to Jon. "He attacked Gendry." Tyrion looked away. "So did the guards." Arya said nothing. Sansa's voice dropped. "Not in battle, not in politics, not in war. He attacked Gendry out of jealousy, out of possession." Jon's face hardened. "You weren't there." "I didn't need to be," Sansa snapped. "I spoke with Gendry. He wrote to me, told me everything." Arya's voice was low now. "He promised me he wouldn't." "He's loyal to you," Sansa said. "That's why he sent you the Raven first." "But I'm Queen of the North, Arya. I don't get to ignore violence in my own house." Jon stepped forward. "I already planned to leave, to step down." "Not enough," Sansa said coldly. "You're still a threat." "To who?" Jon demanded. "To her," she pointed at Arya. "To the realm, to yourself." Tyrion finally spoke. "She's not wrong." Jon turned. "You think I've lost control?" "I think you lost something more dangerous," Tyrion said softly. "Your sense of purpose." Arya looked at Jon now. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You told me you'd walk away. Why didn't you?" "I was going to," Jon said. "But you followed. You came with me. I thought maybe—" He trailed off. Sansa's eyes narrowed. "You thought what? That she'd change her mind? That she'd love you back?" The room dropped into a thick silence. Arya looked away. Jon said, "Nothing." Sansa stepped forward, voice slicing through the tension. "I need to know you won't do it again." "I won't," Jon said. "I can't just take your word," she replied. Arya suddenly broke the silence. "He's not the threat, I am." Sansa turned. "What?" "If you exile him, I follow," Arya said. "If you strip him of name or title, I go too. He's not a monster." Sansa blinked. "He tried to kill your lover." "And I've killed." "Men for less," Arya said coldly. "But Jon has lost everything. This wasn't about me. It was about control, about pain. And you don't fix pain by punishing it." Jon turned to her, stunned. She looked at him. "You're not okay, but you're not evil." For the first time in days, his eyes softened. Sansa shook her head. "Then what do I do?" "Send us away," Arya said. "Together. Let the North heal. Let Winterfell belong to those who still know what peace feels like." Tyrion looked between them, surprised. Jon opened his mouth, then closed it. "Sansa," exhaled. "You'd give up everything?" "I never wanted anything," Jon muttered. Arya looked at him. "Except her." Another silence. Sansa finally spoke. "I'll tell the council you've both chosen exile, that you left willingly, that the matter is resolved." Jon nodded. Arya nodded. Tyrion raised a brow. "Where will you go?" Arya's answer was simple. "West." "Wait. Jon and Arya. Exiled? Together? What just happened?" Sansa playing judge, Arya defending the man who tried to kill her lover, and Jon admitting feelings we never thought he'd speak out loud. And now, they're leaving Westeros. The courtyard had been cleared by dawn. Snow fell in soft flurries, coating the stone in a thin white veil. Spectators lined the edges, lords, soldiers, commoners, all silent, breath steaming in the cold morning air. At the center stood Sandor Clegane the Hound, scarred silent, massive in stature, cloaked in black steel. His eyes swept across the crowd with the same emptiness that had always haunted him. He wasn't here for justice. He wasn't even here for Sansa. He was here for one reason: Arya Stark. Across from him stood Arya. No armor, no grand cloak. Just dark leather, twin blades strapped to her side, needle and the dagger once meant to kill Bran. She looked calm, but her heartbeat drummed like war. Jon stood on the sideline, fists clenched, eyes locked on her. He didn't want this, didn't believe in it, but Arya had insisted. "This isn't just about proving we're innocent," she had told him. "This is about proving she's wrong, that I'm not her monster." And now here they were, Tyrion stepped forward as the designated witness, voice echoing across the yard. By law of the realm, combat has been requested to resolve the accusations of treason and conspiracy. The challenger, Arya Stark of House Stark. The accused, Champion Sandor Clegane, representing Queen Sansa of House Stark. He looked at both. You may begin. The hound didn't move, neither did Arya. The crowd held its breath. Then, slowly, he drew his greatsword. Arya didn't draw. Not yet. The hound's voice cracked the air. You sure about this, girl? Arya's voice was quiet. Are you? He stared at her, jaw tightening. I ain't the same as before. Neither am I. Pause then, he charged. Steel swung like thunder. The crowd gasped, but Arya wasn't there. She rolled under the blow, boots skidding across frost-slicked stone. Her dagger was in hand now, needle drawn only halfway. She didn't attack. She watched. The hound turned slowly, his breath fogging. The air, come on then, he growled. Arya didn't rush. She circled, measured, tactical. Then she struck. 2 quick slashes. One at the knee, one at the ribs, blocked. Clegane's sword came down again, and this time it caught her side, just barely. A shallow cut, but it bled. Jon stepped forward, but Gendry held him back. She's fine. Arya staggered back, blood soaking through her tunic. The hound didn't advance. He lowered his blade a little. You can yield, he said. I won't shame you. But Arya just smiled, thin and cruel. Neither of us are here for mercy. She attacked again, faster, lower, switching hands mid-swing. The hound parried. Then she vanished. Behind him, a cut across his back, not deep, but enough to stagger him. The crowd murmured. Tyrion leaned forward. Arya was breathing hard now. The wound on her side was slowing her. She knew it. He knew it. Stop this, the hound said again. This ain't war. You ain't got to prove anything. Arya's eyes flared. I'm not proving anything to you. She ran, straight at him. Jon held his breath. At the last second, she slid low between his legs, twisting around, both blades flashing. She carved a shallow X into the backs of his calves. The hound bellowed, dropped to one knee. Arya moved in, but not to kill. She pressed the dagger to his neck. His sword clattered to the ground. The yard fell into utter silence. Tyrion stepped forward. Do you yield, Sandor Clegane? The hound didn't answer right away. He looked up at Arya, and for the first time there was no anger in his eyes, only sadness. I yield. A stunned breath swept the courtyard. Arya stepped back. She didn't look victorious. She looked hollow. Tyrion turned to the crowd. By right of trial by combat, the charges of treason and conspiracy are dropped. Arya Stark and Jon Snow are cleared. Jon exhaled. Sansa stood from her throne, face unreadable. The hound, bleeding, limped back toward the dais. But Arya didn't move. She looked at Sansa and finally said, loud and clear, Is this the realm you want? Sansa blinked. Arya stepped forward. How you sent soldiers to kill us. You branded us traitors. You turned the people against their own. Sansa's voice was like ice. I preserved peace. No, Arya said. You preserved your version of it. Jon stepped forward now. She feared what we might become, he said. But her fear almost made it real, the lords whispered. Sansa looked around the room. At the doubt creeping into their eyes, Tyrion spoke gently. Maybe it's time to talk instead of fight. Sansa didn't answer. She just turned and walked away, not in shame, not in surrender, but in strategy. Because the Queen of the North didn't lose, she waited. Okay, what? Arya just defeated the Hound. Jon's been cleared. The whole damn courtyard. Watch the truth play out in blood, and Sansa still walks away like it's her realm. This isn't over.